All I did was write that thing on her stomach, then I hit her about 10 or 15 times.
How come?
Well, mostly because Gertie told me to.
So hello YouTube.
Hello, YouTube.
Welcome back
Mm.
to a new podcast. Pretty grim
Yeah.
one for today.
We always pick the grim ones, guys.
Yep. This one is kind of based on our previous podcast, which you guys must have watched, I guess, last week. And this is kind of a continuation of that.
Mm.
If you guys haven't picked that on from our previous cast and podcast set, it's kind of the same thing even now.
Yes.
Yeah,
Try
and
to
I
touch
really
upon
hope.
few things.
Yep. And I really hope this video does not get delayed. Because if the previous
Hopefully.
one has come out to you on time, this is going to be unscheduled then. And if it does, please spare us. Our consistency is all over the place. Because I keep traveling, because by the time you guys are watching this video, I'm not even at Bangalore anymore.
Bangalore. Yes.
Yeah, I'll be traveling. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoy the video, do your daily drills. I'm not gonna
Regular
tell anything
drills.
else. Yeah,
Yes.
we need just, I'm gonna tell one thing. We need your support really bad, and it is about time that you guys show some.
It's about damn time.
Yes, because YouTube algorithm is just not helping us anymore, and it is all on you guys now. 48% of you guys are not subscribed. You guys are not subscribed viewers here, so yeah, please do help us out.
Help us out. And I think with that being said, let's what have we got today?
What have we got today? I'm trying to be not as upbeat as possible about this case, because this case is kind of
This case is not worth being not worth.
upbeat about.
It doesn't is it's nothing upbeat about this.
Yeah, this case just saddens me and pisses me off more than makes me think otherwise, anyways. Because this story is not your typical fairy tale. This is a fairy tale gone wrong.
Like a Cinderella story with an unhappy ending. Literally a Cinderella story.
Literally unhappy ending, and I guess the smart ones out there must have
Guessed it already.
guessed it already. We are talking about Sylvia Marie Likens.
Likens.
Likens. However,
Likens. Yeah.
yeah. This beautiful little girl was born on January 3rd, 1949 in Lebanon, Indiana, USA. I don't know, there's another Lebanon. I didn't know so far
In the
that
Middle
there was.
East.
Yeah, I thought Lebanon was only in the Middle East, and there's another one.
I didn't know there was one in Indiana. It's a city, by the way.
Yeah. And let's cut the chase. She's died of horrific tortures and treatments that she went through for prolonged durations of time, I could say. That's
3
all.
months.
That's
3 months of torture and abuse.
And you might think, okay, torture and abuse. Everyone goes through mental stress and trauma, physical pain. This is on some other different level out there.
Oh, this could be a typical abuse case, but then it's not done by a single person alone.
Yep.
That's the terrifying part.
Which is why it becomes 10 times more horrific. Because people did that to her. Being mentally present, let me tell you, being mentally present, they were not mentally absent at situations wherein she was tortured. They wholly and fully knew about their actions and what kind of repercussions that would carry out on that person, but still they just continued doing it regardless. And well, let me just clear out the cause of her death, which at this point of time, Sharon, I feel in Likens' mind, I mean in Marie's mind or Sylvia's mind, whatever, because most of the documentaries refer to her as Marie instead of Sylvia.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Okay. Hmm.
but fine, whatever. I think being we can never truly be in Sylvia's shoes. What she
Mm-mm.
went through,
What she
no one
went
can. Yeah,
through.
no
No,
one can
yeah.
imagine that.
No one can and no one should
Yeah,
be
no
in
one
her
should.
place.
And trust me, if there is someone out there who has by chance stumbled across this video, because if you are in that state, I doubt you have access to all these luxuries in life, like YouTube and all that.
Hmm.
But by chance, if you have stumbled across, or if you have someone who might need help, do not do not just sit on your
Yep.
hands. Do something.
Don't, please don't, not speak out, not speak up. Just find a way to tell someone about it because that's
Yeah.
one thing wrong, terribly wrong in this case.
Yep.
Hmm.
And it's not only the victim side that the person should speak up, only from the victim side to make it look credible.
True.
Even the witness, even the bystanders, there are many people. Bystanders have always been the problem in all these cases
Yeah,
wherever
all
it has
these
gone to the
cases, isn't
extremes.
it? Yep.
Yeah.
So,
Except for
anyways,
the
let's.
cases. Yeah, what?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Except for
Go
the
ahead.
cases wherein things have happened in secret and no one has known about it, that's a different thing altogether. No one is to blame to that. Even the victim can't be blamed for that. Honestly speaking, the victim just cannot be blamed anytime because the victim is the one who's the
True.
ultimate loser at that point of time.
True. You can't really blame the victim for not being able to speak out or
Yeah.
whatever.
But in
True.
case of cases wherein there is public awareness and people do nothing about it, just brush past it like not their business. That's a problem. And you need to man up and do something about it. Our previous,
Yep.
I think, four four podcasts back, the cast which we had done about anger issues, that exactly had this problem. People did not do shit about the
Did
situation
not
over
do
there.
shit about it. Yep.
And yeah, so that's what I'm trying to say. This sad little girl ends up passing away from subdural hematoma and shock.
Shock.
Yeah.
Shock induced by whatever she went through.
Yep. Also, to add to that, she was extremely emaciated, meaning she was malnourished,
Extremely
denied food,
malnourished. Yep.
denied water, denied any kind of good treatment.
Yep.
She was robbed of her own life. That's all I can say.
She was robbed of her own life. That's one way to put it.
Yep.
So, how did it all start? Wanna go ahead?
Well, the reason why I compared it to a fairy tale is because the people she was surrounded by, the people who caused this to her, one of them, the queen of it all, you can
The
say,
queen of it, yeah.
Gertrude Nadine Baniszewski.
Yes. Yeah, I hope
She
that's
looks
how
like
you
a
pronounce it.
yeah.
She
She looks like a typical Disney witch character.
Oh,
Her picture must be
totally.
here right now. You must be seeing her face. You will surely be like, oh yeah, she does.
She pretty much looks like a
Yep.
typical Disney witch.
And her daughters, Paula, Stephanie, and there were many more. There were so many I can't even remember the
She
names.
had 7 children basically, and Paula was the eldest one. She was 12 years old. Stephanie was the second eldest, and I think she had an 8-month-old infant, which was
Infant, yeah. At that point of time, there was an infant.
yeah, the last of the clan.
And no one can really blame the infant. The infant hasn't done anything. 100%.
Infant didn't do anything, but people, the kids, all the kids before the infant were kind of responsible also.
Yep. Although the fact that one of these children, there was one Stephanie, who was always a bit icky about doing such things to Likens.
True.
She was mindful about
always
all.
in support of her.
Yeah, she was always in support of her. She tried stopping many situations wherein things got really, really fucking out of hand, but again, she's just one person against 6 of them.
6 of them. True.
6 of them at home and more of them from outside.
More of them from outside.
Oh,
Now
yep.
this brings us to the witness part of it.
And I just cannot wrap my head around the fact that how come out of so many people, how come one did not have the right conscience in their head to do something about it?
S-
People who were taking part in it and the people surrounding them, how? Like,
It's
did your conscience die down so far that you could not even.
do
Hell,
anything
man.
about it.
Yeah,
And no, forget do anything about it. Your conscience died so far down that you yourself joined in the drama and fun.
exactly. There are many things which I'm not even sure of in this case because I've seen so many documentaries and each and every documentary states something different each and every
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
So it's really hard to triangulate on data accurately for this podcast. Yeah, we are gonna try our best.
Yeah.
Uh, we are gonna see how much we can put out accurately. But again,
Yeah.
some things are gonna be a
Some
miss
things are going to remain a
here
little
and there. Yep.
off. Yeah.
Well, there's there's one thing to speak of though. I mean, there are like two major things before we go to the torture side of things.
Hmm.
Like one is Sylvia's background and
Yeah.
one is Gertrude's background. Before
Yeah.
going to Sylvia's background, let's quickly talk about Gertrude's background because there were two documentaries wherein I heard about her past life being hell itself.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
it was well known that Gertrude had a very bad relation in his family. She was only close to her dad. Her mom treated her like garbage. So
Okay.
did her other sisters. Um, Up to a long time. For a long time. They treated her bad for a long fucking time. And
Hmm.
probably, again, this is also a form of domestic violence.
Yeah.
This could have
Yeah.
taken a different kind of toll on her mental health. And I'm telling she went through stuff. I'm not justifying her actions.
Yes. Yes. She did
I'm just
go
telling
through
she went
stuff.
through
Yeah.
stuff. Just keep that thing clear in your head because I know there are people out there, the smarty pants, who are gonna come stating in the comments, bro, are you out of your head? You're supporting her actions by telling she was suffering in her past. She did suffer. I do not condone her actions. Whatever she did was extremely wrong in the eyes of law and humanity.
Hmm.
Those actions will not stand anywhere.
Nope. It will not stand. It's not right in any point of view.
Yep. And the fact that she was treated bad at her place by her mom and her sisters, I think this could have triggered somewhere something in her which made her have this distrust in the whole of
Humanity.
female, no, no,
Oh.
female gender
Got it.
altogether.
Got it.
Yeah.
Makes sense. It's very common for females to have
Yep.
altercations.
Yeah. Males also do have it.
Males do.
Males
Males do.
males do have
Hmm.
it.
Hmm.
It's nothing like only females have it and males don't.
Yeah. 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 Hmm.
Females also do have it and males also do have it. It's We are all humans. We all have similar
True.
attributes
We
at
are
the
all
end of the day.
wired the
We are
similar
all
way.
wired the same. So yeah, when she was young, I guess she was 15 years old or something when her dad ended up passing away due to
Mm-hmm.
a massive heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
And she was left alone in a family where she was treated really, really bad. She
Hmm.
was called a slut as well. I think a parent calling you that is a little too much. That again goes to the child abuse side of things.
Hmm.
You have your limits in schooling, but calling someone a slut, calling people names is just a little too much,
And
or
that's
holding
facts.
someone responsible for some actions because they did hold her responsible for her father's death. They kept on repeating the same dialogue every day, every single day, telling your father died because of you.
Deja vu. Okay. But yeah, I'm sorry. I was gonna say that it doesn't matter what kind, physical or verbal, it is abuse.
It is abuse.
It is abuse.
Verbal can cause mental afflictions, and physical
Hmm.
can obviously cause physical afflictions, which can
Yep.
also go down for a long amount of time. It's a huge rabbit hole. If you watched our previous cast, you know how big of a rabbit hole
Oh
domestic
yeah,
violence is.
yeah.
So yeah, that's her childhood. But yeah, moving to her marital life, I think you know it better than me.
Hmm. So I think she ran away from home, if I'm
Yeah,
not
she
wrong.
did. She did.
She
After her
eventually.
first marriage, I mean, for the first marriage, she ended up running away from home.
So she ended up running away from home, and it was at this point she got married very young, to a guy named John Baniszewski, and they both ended up having 4 children. The first 4 of her kids, she had it with John Baniszewski, and then after a few months they had a divorce, and then she ended up not marrying, but she ended up going out with another dude.
And it is also, before you move to the second husband, it is really known that John was very, very aggressive,
Oh
and
yes, yes.
he was very aggressive at the home. He would be very verbally and physically abusive to Gertrude and the children as well. At
Yeah.
the end, I think they couldn't sort their differences out anymore, so they had to look their own ways, divorced, and then she went to the second husband. Carry on, Sharon.
Yeah, so it's clear she didn't have a peaceful marital life as well because her first husband abused her. And yeah, my bad. Her second husband, they stayed together for 3 months. The first husband, they stayed together for 10 years, if I'm not wrong. They stayed together for 10 years, and then she moved on to another dude and stayed with him for 3 months, had a divorce with him, and then she goes back to John yet again.
Yep.
And she goes back to John yet again and has
This is
two more
when
children with
things
him.
dialed up even more
Yep,
with John.
yep.
He was further more abusive than what he was back then.
I mean, I don't know why she went back to him. I'm just no one to judge. But yeah, she goes back to him. They have 2 kids. So now she has 6 children with him.
At
And then
this
they
point of
divorce
time,
again.
let me also tell, she had 3 more children, but in this 3 more children period, she had multiple miscarriages.
Okay.
Multiple
Okay,
fucking
yeah.
miscarriages, which put her in a depressed state of mind,
It can be
and
depressing. Yes.
she was extremely malnourished at this point of time. She wouldn't take care of herself, she couldn't take care
Hmm.
of the kids. She would just end up lying down on the bed for days in, days out. This also ticked him off, thinking she's just being lazy and
Yeah.
irresponsible and not taking care of the children. So again, that pissed him off. Things again went bad from there, and then carry on,
Things
Sharon.
again went bad from there and didn't stop. I mean, she divorced him yet again in 1963 and got married to this man named Dennis Wright, with whom she had the last baby. But sadly, even Dennis Wright was domestically violent with her.
Domestically
So,
violent, and let me tell you, Dennis Wright was really very young. While Gertrude was
mm,
35, Dennis Wright was only 21.
20,
Somewhere around in that
20,
range. 20.
20.
Even younger
He
than
was
what I
20.
told.
Yeah.
He was 20. So,
So,
obviously, there's a huge age gap, and you can't sort out the level of thinking for a 20-year-old and a 35-year-old is something completely different. Those two things just never go in sync. And yeah, Dennis Wright told Gertrude clearly that he never wanted any babies with her. But in Gertrude's head, it was always like, if I get a baby with him, at least my marital life will be stable. He will probably get around, he'll come around, he'll be fine with the kid. The last kid that she ever conceived, The three or two more before that,
Hmm.
Dennis writes, always denied and got her to take the abortion and get the babies out. He just didn't want to do any
Oh
shit with it.
wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
The last one though, the last
Hmm.
one, he did say, okay, fine, I'm okay with the baby. But that was just a trick. He ends up disappearing by the time
Yeah.
Gertrude comes back, gets discharged from the hospital, comes home with the baby. He's nowhere to be seen at home. He's left the house.
He's abandoned her.
He's abandoned her
Yeah.
completely. And all the kids, all the 7 or 8 kids, how many ever are there at this point of time?
Seven.
I've
Seven.
lost track.
Seven.
So, yeah,
Hmm.
at this point of time, uh, she ends up putting a paternity suit on Dennis Wrights.
Yeah. For child support.
Yeah, child support. I mean, yeah, kind of makes sense. The baby didn't come one-sided. A clap is
True.
never clapped once with one
With one
hand.
hand.
Yeah,
Yes.
there are always two parts of it. It's the same way with raising a baby. So yeah, she ends up filing a lawsuit against him, a paternity suit. He agrees to pay, and then things dial down. But at this point of time, before Dennis Wrights and all this happened,
Hmm.
remember the time when I told she was extremely sick, she wouldn't get off of the bed
Hmm.
and couldn't take care of the kids. Paula became the mother figure in the house.
Hmm.
Being the oldest daughter, Paula is Gertrude's first daughter.
First daughter.
Being oldest, she was the mother figure in the house
Hmm.
because the mother herself couldn't do it. She was sick, and Paula's responsibility increased, and she started taking care of all the children in the house. At this point of time, I don't know where what happened. Paula's ego started increasing
Hmm.
because she was taking care of the entire house. She would bring along her friends home as
Hmm.
a hangout, chill out spot, and then they would come home, they would smoke, they would drink, they would do drugs, and everyone would appreciate Gertrude because they all thought she was a cool mom who did not stop
Hmm.
the kids from having fun like
Hmm.
the other
Hmm.
parents did. And this also kind of ego tripped Gertrude to a point where
Paula.
she no Gertrude,
Gertrude.
yeah,
Okay.
Gertrude as well, to a point wherein she did a striptease for a 15-year-old. I think that was Richard Hobbs, aka Ricky Hobbs.
Ricky Hobbs.
Yeah,
He was one of the neighborhood
he was one of
boys.
the neighborhood boys. Remember the name. We are gonna use it later on, anyways. There's a major role from him as well. I'm telling
Well,
it like it's some movie. But
yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean,
there is a movie on it.
there
You
is a
guys can
movie
watch
on
it.
it. It's called An American Crime. If
Yeah.
you guys want to check it out, you can go check
Although,
it out.
do not expect an exact, accurate portrayal of whatever happened,
The
all the
movie
scenes,
does not show half of
half the
what
things.
this
Yeah.
girl went through.
Yeah. But also not trying to brush the movie off, telling there's nothing. There are horrific scenes in that as well.
There are.
Sensitive people
There are.
cannot watch it. But if you cannot watch that, trust me, you cannot watch this. So if you are sensitive, I totally understand. You can leave this podcast, go watch something else because there are graphic content. I think you must have seen the disclaimer in the beginning of the video already.
Hmm.
Disclaimer, trigger warning. There is everything in here. So yeah, she ends up doing a
And
striptease for the 15-year-old boy. Go ahead, tell me.
I mean, yeah, so as this whole situation is going on, she has 7 kids to take care of. She was not only overly malnourished, she was very depressed. She was
Yep.
also a chain smoker.
Chain
Let's not
smoker.
forget that.
Well, again, given the fact that all this is going on in your life, I wouldn't be shocked that she was
True. She
clinically
has,
depressed.
yeah, she has no financial support. She has
Yeah.
7 kids to take care of.
Financially, her family state was very bad
And that's facts.
because she had no one working in the house. Kids were all still in school. All her husbands literally left her and went away.
Yep.
She was sick to do work. She couldn't do work. 100% she couldn't do work.
She couldn't do work.
So yeah, all this ends up happening, and then do you remember Sylvia's parents' names? It's
Yes,
completely slipped my
I
mind.
remember them. I think her parents' names were Lester Likens and Betty Likens, or Elizabeth Likens, who was called Betty Likens. And these two were what you call as carnival workers. So basically, they travel around the city going by carnival and selling basically small things to earn an income.
They used to
So this
sell food items.
food items, anything,
They had a
mostly
pantry
food
business.
items.
Yeah, they had a pantry
Yeah.
business.
Yeah, so this was what their job was. So this obviously required them to move, from place to place, and they had 5 children.
Okay, so this is where the Sylvia part of the background starts, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep.
Her parents, she's got two older twin siblings and then two younger twin siblings, and Sylvia is the middle child. Basically,
She's the
she was
middle
the only
child.
one who wasn't a twin sibling.
Yep. Yep. uh,
So,
there was Diana, who was the eldest one.
eldest one.
There was Danny, and
Yeah,
then
Danny and
Sylvia.
Diana.
Danny, Sylvia, Benny and Jenny, or Jenny and Benny. I'm not sure.
They
Doesn't
were
matter. Yeah.
fraternal twins. So, you can mess up the order. They all were of the same age except for Sylvia.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So these
Yeah.
were the 5 kids that they had.
Yeah. Danny
Diana, the
and Diana were of the same age. Sylvia was 2 years younger to them. And then another 2 years younger to them was Benny and Jenny. These two were
yep.
also again fraternal twins.
So Diana was already married. I think she was away from
Yeah,
her
she was old enough
parents.
to get married.
Yeah.
So yeah, she gets married. Because at this point of time, you know about carnival circuits, right? They go around all the states in the country and perform shows. And the Likens family had a business of pantry during the carnival circuits. And they would end up making food, selling it to the visitors or to the partakers of the carnival. So at this point of time, after Diana moves out of the family, after getting married, it is obvious they need to leave the kids away somewhere else.
I think Danny and Benny were handed over to the grandparents, or one of the boys went with their parents to help them out.
Danny went with the parents because he was old enough to
Danny
help
went
them
with,
out.
yeah.
They did take Benny initially for a short amount of time to help them out. But these two girls, Sylvia and Jenny, they had to be left out because both of them were extremely young and extremely beautiful. And the carnival business, there are multiple dudes
a lot of
who can do
things.
shit
Yeah.
to the girls. So they ended up leaving Sylvia, Jenny, and Benny at their grandparents' house for a short amount of time. But then later on, they ended up needing the help of Benny as well around the business. So there's no one with their grandparents anymore, and the girls were left in Indianapolis, Indiana. Yeah, because they were studying at that point of time. And the entire family of Likens, the mom, the dad, Danny, and Benny, went over the circuits to do their needful to earn money. Before they went in the summer of 19, I don't remember when they left her at their place for boarding.
1965.
No. 1965? Oh yeah, 1965.
1965. It was just 3 months. She died in
Yeah, 3 months.
1965.
Yeah. In the year of 1965, when the summer circuit started, the summer carnival circuit started, both the parents decided to leave Sylvia and Jenny at one of their acquaintance. My God, my English is dead. Acquaintance. Sharon, you just tell it.
Acquaintance.
Just brain farts. I don't know what happens to me. I forget the pronunciations at times.
Acquaintance.
Acquaintance. See, I got it. See.
They leave Sylvia and Jenny in one of their acquaintances' house, but I think this acquaintance was one of their friend's friend. It wasn't someone they knew directly as well.
They did not know them directly, or they did not know them well as well. So, which is exactly why you need to know in whose hands you're leaving your kids. Are they safe there or no?
Actually, the reason why this was, made faster, that they had to be left in somebody else's care, was because Betty Likens, Sylvia's mother.
Oh yeah.
She got into a whole shoplifting case. I'm guessing because of financial conditions.
Yep.
She got into a whole shoplifting scenario, and she was put in jail for a bit.
Yep. She was put into jail, and then I keep forgetting the dad's name. What's his name?
Lester Likens.
Lester obviously could not take care of all the 4 kids by himself, running the circuit business. So he ends up leaving the 2 daughters at the Baniszewski household. He wouldn't have, but it is said that when Lester, they knew them from church.
And
these 2 families.
Yeah, they knew them from church, but I think Sylvia knew Paula and Stephanie way before even getting into the house.
Yeah, because they were school friends.
Yes.
Yeah, they were school friends. They used to go to the same middle school. And one day, I think the topic comes up, and then Lester ends up going to Gertrude's house with the... No. Gertrude approached Lester. That's what happened.
Okay.
Gertrude approached Lester telling, I can take care of the kids for you, and you just need to pay me $20 per month, because she was running out of funds, remember? I can take care of the 2 daughters of yours for you for whenever the circuit ends, which was only for 4 months at that point of time. Only for 4 months. Not even 4 months. I guess it was only for 3 months.
4 months, I guess.
4 or 3 months. The circuit was almost about to get over, and they were going to come home. It was only for 4 months that Lester agreed. He would leave the daughters in Gertrude's care. Gertrude, it is also known, I don't know how many sources of this are true and how true is the information itself, that Gertrude did crush on Lester. Whatever it is.
See, there are different, point of views to the story. I've heard one point of view wherein Lester was the one who begged for Gertrude to take care of his daughters.
But I don't know. Sure. Again, like I said, multiple sources, multiple versions.
Yeah.
I don't even know which one is true. So we are just putting all of it in front of you. You guys make sense out of it. So yeah, at the end, Lester agrees to leave the daughters at the Baniszewski household under Gertrude's care. And he was fine because the daughters did tell him that they do have their friends there, Paula and Stephanie and all the other kids who they know from school. So Lester thought, yeah, I think it's fine for my daughters to be there. They have friends over there. They're going to be comfortable. And Gertrude seems like a nice lady. She's probably going to take care. Although $20 wasn't a small amount at that point of time. $20 was a huge amount of money.
Huge amount.
And that's facts.
Given the Likens family was
trying to make ends meet.
Yeah, they also were financially struggling, but yeah, he still agreed to it. So yeah, things took a dark turn from here.
Actually, first few weeks of when Sylvia and Jenny were there. First 1 week. couple of weeks when Sylvia and Jenny were there. They had a ball of a time. They were pretty friendly with everybody. They would go around, they would play, they would do small little jobs for a meager amount of income for themselves.
Yep.
Everything was going pretty smooth. And then comes the second week of their stay over there, when the $20 check that Lester had promised Gertrude did not arrive.
Yep.
That is when everything started, because that is when Gertrude, she had two choice of weapons, a paddle and a leather belt, which was left by her ex-husband John.
Both of them were left by her ex-husband John.
Okay, both of them were left by her
Yeah.
ex-husband John, and she took the leather belt or the paddle. She took one of it and she started hitting Jenny and Sylvia.
Basically, the first time was a spanking to the both of them to their
A spanking,
bare behinds. Bare behinds. Can you really imagine that? Bare behinds, two girls and fucking wooden paddle or leather belt for that matter. It hurts.
Oh, and also, Jenny was affected by polio.
Yeah, in her young days. So she
In
was
her
stuck
young
with a
days.
leather brace. This is exactly why Sylvia was really, really very close and
She was
caring
very
about Jenny.
protective about her.
Protective of her. She always wanted to take care of her, and she had also gotten into many arguments and small, meager fights to protect her little sister.
And I think this was one of the reasons why she even took some of the beatings for Jenny as well.
Yep. She did.
She did.
And also, mm, Sylvia had a mentality wherein, like, she always thought my elder siblings and my younger siblings both have a pair for themselves. I'm the only lonely
True.
one. So I need to take care of myself. I need to speak up for myself and for others, on behalf of others.
True.
She always had that point. Always. So that also kind of got her into trouble later on. So the first time the check bounces, I mean, forget even bounces, it was missing.
It eventually arrived the next day or
It
a couple of
arrived.
days after that.
It arrived.
But the key had been turned.
Yeah, the key had been turned. The ball was rolling already. The snowballing had not started, but it was gonna come. They both get spankings from the wooden paddle or the leather belt to their bare behinds. Ignoring that fact, they both move along. Obviously, they cried. It did hurt. They cried about it. They tried ignoring it, and then they just moved along ahead. A few days later, at this point of time, Paula was dating a guy. And it is alleged that she had conceived a baby at this point of time. She was pregnant.
She was pregnant, huh?
Yeah, she was pregnant. And the guy whose baby it was supposed to be a married person already. So he ends up ditching Paula. At that point of time, Sylvia intervenes, and I don't know why, but yeah, she intervenes and just blurts out telling that she's pregnant. And the guy just ends up taking none of that and just abandons Paula and goes away. This angers Paula because other people around them heard it.
And especially due to the fact that Paula had requested Sylvia to keep it a secret. I think Sylvia was the only one who knew, because at that point of time, Paula and Sylvia were close.
Yeah.
And Sylvia was the only one who knew about it, so she had specifically requested her not to tell anybody that she is pregnant.
And Sylvia ends up blurting it out anyways. I think she shouldn't have done that. But again, even if she did that, it was no way to like make her pay for it, you know.
Yeah.
So they come back home. Paula bitches about Sylvia to her mom, Gertrude. When Sylvia comes back home from school, that was day one when hell broke loose for her.
Yeah, actually, like it just started. The fire had been started already.
Yeah. She comes home. She gets whacked. Literally, without even questioning, without any words, she walks into the house, shuts the door behind her. She's whacked by Gertrude. Then, she's asked to be whacked by Paula as well. Gertrude orders Paula to take care of her own shit and beat Sylvia up. Paula beats up Sylvia so bad, she punches her so bad that she ends up dislocating her wrist and her fingers.
Imagine the intensity of it.
Yep. And then she ends up getting a cast for it for a long amount of time. Around some 3 to 4 months. No, not 3 to 4 months. Around. No, wait. Not a long amount of time. She didn't dislocate her bones, but she did hurt her hand real bad. So she ends up getting a cast. And this cast remained on her for around 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, almost a month, you can say.
Yeah, it is said that she even hit Sylvia with the cast on.
Exactly. After the cast was off, she brings it home along with her and uses it as a weapon of guilt to hit Sylvia. And her body was used, her bare skin was used like an ashtray for the entire freaking house. Whoever smoked used her body as an ashtray to put off or ash their cigarettes. Go ahead, tell. I need a
mean,
break from telling all this.
And that's facts.
Saddening.
I think the first time she was burnt by a cigarette was because she did not even lie about it, but she was accused of lying. I think of stealing candy or something which she actually bought. Stealing candy or Coke bottles. I'm not sure what it was exactly.
Oh no, no, I remember what had happened. After all this beating, Sylvia tried to reach out to her sister, Diana. She did tell her all of it, whatever happened with her in the past few days. Diana did not end up believing it. She thought it was all bullshit and she just brushed it off. She thought Sylvia was just making up things to change school or change household or whatever. But later on, she does end up meeting Sylvia at at a park nearby, wherein Sylvia does, because at this point of time she was denied food as well. She was emaciated. She was starting to get emaciated. She was denied food, water for as a form of punishment. So she was hungry when she met Diana. She was hungry, and then she asked Diana, "Could you get me something to eat?" And Diana ends up buying a sandwich for her. Sadly, one of the other younger Baniszewski daughters was present at the park in the locality nearby.
Yeah.
Ends up going back home, bitching about Sylvia to her mom, obviously. Gertrude tells that she was begging off of the street and she picked up a sandwich from the trash and started munching on it. Gertrude listens to it. She loses her shit. She burns her hand with the cigarette.
That was not one occasion where she burnt her hand with a cigarette. There were
That was
many
where it
occasions.
started. That was where it started. She literally told her, "You use these hands to beg off and pick off food off of trash. I burn it."
The irony of the situation was that during her entire stay over there, or when the whole abuse thing started, she was fed food from trash cans. That's the irony of the fact. She was fed food from trash cans. She was given shit to eat. Literal shit. I'm not
Literally
kidding.
shit.
Literal shit.
And that's facts.
Defecations of the youngest infant Baniszewski. And this was fed to her by the youngest son at that point of time,
Youngest
whose
son.
name was John something. John Baniszewski.
John Baniszewski.
See,
yeah.
John Baniszewski.
Sometimes she was made to eat her own puke.
She was made to eat her own puke, her own poop, her own piss. She was asked to drink that. She was... My God. Horrific,
That
horrific
is
things.
horrific. And every time she would get beatings, after the beatings were done, she was made to take a scalding hot
No,
bath.
no, 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 no. She wasn't
It
given a
is.
scalding. No, no, no. She got scalding hot baths for something else. I'll get to that.
No, I mean,
Every time she got
yeah.
beating, she would be thrown in the basement.
No, see, this is what happens when you read two different articles.
I don't know who's correct, who's wrong over here, but
Because see,
scalding
what
hot.
I read,
Yeah, tell.
the part that I read was whenever she would get beatings, she was, thrown into a scalding hot bath to cleanse her of her sins. And the basement part comes because she, towards the end of all the abuse, she became incontinent, which meaning is she could not control her pooping or her peeing.
Yeah,
And
because there is a reason for it as well. Let's
there
not
is a
rush
reason
it.
for that.
Let's get to it slowly.
Yeah.
Because it's 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 just it is just for us to shed light on everything she went through. Because no one did anything when she was alive. At least we can shed light on her sufferings
Yep.
when she's gone, at least. So yeah, she ends up coming home. Gertrude burns her hand, and then she's beaten up left and right by everyone. And one day, what ends up happening is somehow from somewhere, two or three of the daughters come back home from school, tell Gertrude that Sylvia has spread rumors in school that Stephanie is a slut. She goes around.
Paula and
Stephanie.
only Stephanie?
Yeah. Paula's thing was she was pregnant.
Hmm.
Stephanie's thing was she was called as a slut. Um, Stephanie comes back home. She's angry. She shouts at Sylvia. Sylvia explains, I did not tell anything like that to anyone. This is just a rumor coming from somewhere. I have no idea. Someone must have spread it on my name. At that point of time, Stephanie's boyfriend, whose name was Coy
Coy
Richards.
Hubbard.
Okay, Coy Hubbard. My bad. Coy Hubbard gets the gist of it, comes home, absolutely thrashes Sylvia. He literally takes stuff and starts whacking Sylvia's head.
And backflipping her as well.
Backflipping. My god. Tied her up to a chair and then started beating her. Even Gertrude.
Gertrude, yeah.
Both of them together. They take her to the basement, tie her to the banister, beat her up, bring her upstairs, and throw her in the bedroom. After that, for a week or so, or a week later, I guess, Gertrude started this nifty little business wherein she would charge 5 cents from everyone, whoever came home, to come home and give a thorough little thrashing or do whatever they want to Sylvia in the basement and go. This was like a paid little show,
Yep.
Like you come home, you do whatever you want, pay us $5. I mean 5 cents, and you have 1 hour to do whatever you want. Just go ahead and enjoy. Everybody from the neighborhood, all the kids would turn up at Gertrude's place, pay 5 cents, and do trash with her. They would hit her. They would SA her. Not by themselves, but with objects. They would feed her trash. They would spray water on her for no reason. They would rub salt in her wounds. Any kind of torture you can think of was done to Sylvia.
Yep.
After that, what ends up happening is, at this point, Sylvia is so beaten up, she has lost comprehension of reality. She is emaciated. She has given up. Basically, at this point of time, she has given up. And I'm actually skimming across all the details because I don't want to make it too graphic for you guys. because it
Yeah,
gets annoying
true.
and kind
True.
of triggering. So at this point, she is malnourished to a point wherein her wounds have stopped healing. They don't
I'm,
they don't heal up anymore
why would they? Oh, why?
because she's not getting food.
Ex-
Her
exactly.
yeah, her nutrition is zero. She's getting hurt over and over and over and over
Over,
again.
there is no break to it.
There's
There
no
is no
break to it.
recovery time.
Yeah.
There is something called as recovery time. There is no recovery time.
But thankfully at this point of time, Stephanie stepped up many times to
Hmm.
defend Sylvia. But again, one person against God knows how many. You can't.
God knows how many. Yep.
Jenny did try, but then she was also an outsider. She was fearful of the same fate being her own if she tried something.
Hmm.
At this point, when she was suffering in a state of no recovery anymore, Sylvia, Gertrude made her write a letter. And in this letter, she made her mention that all the beatings that Sylvia has taken haven't come from the Baniszewski family. It has
Yep.
come from her own actions when she ended up running away with a bunch of boys
Guys.
for doing stuff. They used her when they were finished. They beat her up, they punched her, they smacked her. At this point of time, by this time, what ends up happening is when the kids were coming paying 5 cents per hour to do whatever they want to, they end up writing engraving basically. They take this hot pen,
It was instructed by Gertrude. She
Gertrude.
basically went on to say that you have branded my children, now I'm going to brand you.
Yeah. So she starts scratching into her body with a hot pen, stating, "What I am a prostitute,
And I'm
and I
proud
am
of
proud
it.
of it." And a three on top, which was basically planned to be an S, but just turned out to be a three because dumb in the head.
She actually started it. She wrote the first few letters and then she asked Ricky Hobbs, who was Richard Hobbs,
Ricky Hobbs, yeah.
who was present at the time, to finish the etching.
Few
And
of the
it
sources
was,
say that Ricky Hobbs was very reluctant to do it. He didn't want to, but he was
yeah,
forced to do it.
he was forced to do it. I mean, still doesn't justify his
Doesn't justify, but
acts.
then later on his actions do say that he was regretful about it. He didn't want to, and
Hmm.
the stress of it turned
Got to him.
bad on him, yeah.
Yeah.
So they etch this on her stomach, and then that very day or the next day, I guess, she ends up making her write a letter uh, addressing Mr. and Mrs. Likens. Who the fuck? If I'm writing a letter to my parents, I'm not gonna go like Mr. and
Why the
Mrs. Panigrahi.
fuck would I? Exactly. Do you know how ridiculous that sounds? Who the Gertrude? Never mind.
This is what happens when you're dumb. And she ends up making her write this letter, Mr. and Mrs. Likens. Me, Sylvia, I have done this. I have done that. I ran away with a bunch of guys, and then they did stuff with me. When they were finished, they beat me up, and they inscribed this on my stomach. All that. First things first. No person ever states their parents by their names. Second, they do
Exactly.
not state the fact that they ran away with somebody. Hell, even if they do, no one tells it in a third person view.
That's
No
just
one tells
dumb
it
on
in a
her
third
part.
person.
That's just dumb on her part.
Anyways, she ends up snatching this letter from her, keeps it with her. And at this point of time, Gertrude does threaten Jenny that Sylvia is a bad influence. You are a good girl. You behave well. If you go and snitch about this to the authorities, or your parents, or the neighbors, you're gonna suffer the same fate.
Same fate.
So for the fear of her life, she kept quiet. Although she tells it even till the day whenever she is interviewed. Every time she is interviewed, she tells that toll on me was mentally too much. I still regret not doing anything about it for the fear of my life. But if I did, I don't know if I would be here giving this interview.
That that makes sense. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
I,
sometimes.
when all this was happening, the church reverend had come over to the house once. When the rumor about Paula being pregnant and all started going around, and Stephanie being a slut started going around, the reverend did visit the house with his concerns about all this. And then something about all this, when it was spoken to Gertrude, something triggered in her so bad she ends up going down, whacking the crap out of her, and inscribing all that on her stomach, on her abdomen. That is what exactly triggered the inscribing on her. I'm a prostitute and I'm proud of it and all that. When the reverend had come home, that is when all this got triggered. Before that, the school nurse was sent home to know whereabouts of Sylvia because she wasn't attending school. She was held off of school. Obviously, she can't be sent to school with all these fucking.
Exactly.
So she's kept at home. She's thrown in the basement, and she's asked whenever people would come home, Gertrude would instruct her to take a Coke bottle and perform masturbation. Sylvia is a 15-year-old girl. She's a virgin. She doesn't even know anything about sex at this point of time. And then she's asked to shove a Coke bottle into her. She cries out. She tells, I do not know what you're asking me to do. Gertrude takes it, shoves it up her, starts kicking it, slamming it in, literally. Literally slamming it in. Obviously, something must have cut inside. When she pulls the bottle out, the bottle is filled with blood.
I mean, trigger warning, gore content.
Gore
If
content.
you are sensitive, just don't. Just skip off.
Just skip and go. I will not mind. Just skip and go if it bothers you. But yeah, I need to tell it for knowledge sake.
We should have told it at the beginning. So.
The trigger warning and the disclaimer
Yeah,
was
yeah,
played. You
yeah,
guys
yeah.
know already.
Yeah.
So yeah, the bottle is filled to the brim with blood.
It's broken. The bottle shattered.
In front of everyone. In front of the entire neighborhood's kids who pay 5 cents to come home and watch a show or be the showman or a showgirl.
These are kids, mind you. They aren't even
Yeah, 14,
adults.
14, 15-year-old kids. Or the oldest over there was 16-year-old who was like Richard Hobbs and uh,
Paula was
Coy
17.
Hubbard.
Coy Hubbard, okay.
Yeah, I guess Paula was the only oldest one amongst the siblings, but yeah, amongst the neighborhood children, Coy and Ricky were the oldest, who were 16 years old. So this ends up causing a lot of problems for her, which makes her incontinent moving ahead because she
To
ends
that
up
part.
getting a swollen, infected, shut vaginal tract. And this makes her susceptible to lose control of her urine and her defecation. At this point of time, what ends up happening is when she gets incontinent, she was messing up the bed because obviously you're sleeping on the bed, you don't have control, you go on the bed. She ends up throwing Sylvia in the basement. She's locked up in there. Hell, she's tied to the railing of the staircase day in, day out. And she's tied in a way that her hands are up and her legs are literally like 2 to 3 inches apart from the floor, so she can't reach
Yeah,
it.
she
She's
can't
always
reach the ground.
hanging.
Yeah.
Sometimes she is clothed, sometimes she's left naked in the cold basement, in the darkness, no one for her, no food, deprived of any kind of happiness or good treatment. And it is said that when she would be hanging, John would bring in the baby's diapers and shove it on her face and make her
Hmm.
eat it in front of others and traumatizing crap.
All that. All that stuff.
Yeah. And one day, what ends up happening is some kind of argument in between Paula, Gertrude, and Ricky, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Not Ricky, Coy. Coy Hubbard.
Mm-hmm.
They come down, go to the basement, straight, directly go to the basement. And the fact that she was losing control of her urine and defecation, as per what I read, that was when she was given scalding hot bath. And given the
Okay.
pain, she would pass out
And in order to wake her up, Gertrude would bang her head on the
on the
bathtub.
bathtub. And this slowly started affecting her brain on a longer duration, on constant repetitions of the same shit. This started taking a toll on her mental health. Her brain started having uh, problems like Alzheimer kind of things. I don't know what the term was, but yeah, something.
Mm-hmm.
And she started getting disoriented. She started losing proper speech, remembering stuff, and hearing, speaking, vision. Everything was slowly kind of depleting
Hmm.
for her. And the last day, the nail in the coffin for her was when these three had an argument. They go down to the basement, take a curtain rod, whack the shit out of her head. Gertrude takes it and hits her so hard that the straight curtain rod bends into a
Was
90-degree.
bent. Yeah, it was bent at right angles. That was the intensity in which he hit her.
Yeah. And Koi picks up the same curtain rod, shoves it up her pelvis, pulls it out,
No,
whacks
I
her.
don't know all this.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I read in one of the other pages that I
Mm-hmm.
went through. Shoves it in her pelvis, pulls it out, whacks her multiple times more on the head, rendering her unconscious. At this point, even Paula hits her with the same cast,
Mm-hmm.
the plaster cast, whatever you call it, I forgot, on the head. All this makes her unconscious. She's taken up to the bedroom, thrown on the bed. I mean, she didn't even have a bed, she just literally had a mattress on the floor.
Hmm.
She was thrown on the mattress. And then at this point of time, Stephanie comes in and then she notices Sylvia is not breathing.
Hmm.
Sylvia is literally unconscious and unresponsive. She comes up, she starts sprinkling water on her face. She starts trying to do CPR, mouth to mouth
CPR.
resuscitation, I think, resuscitation.
Resuscitation. Hmm.
Does not work out, and she is screaming frantically, Mother, Sylvia is not breathing. She is not moving. She is dead. Something is up with her. Call the ambulance. And Gertrude, at this point of time, brings her Bible with her and goes like she is acting.
Hmm.
This is all fake. She is faking it. Starts whacking her on the head with the Bible. Shoves the Bible on her face, and just literally again just continues beating a corpse.
Just keeps calling her a faker, a faker. She's just acting.
Yeah. And at this point, Stephanie yells out to Richard Hobbs to go call out for authorities to come over to the house and an ambulance. I think around half an hour or something, 30 minutes later, cops do arrive home. Before they arrive, Gertrude has realized that Sylvia has passed away. And
Yep.
she has made sure to tell Jenny that, not only Jenny, all the other kids as well in the house, she has made sure and told them. You want to tell it?
No, go ahead.
Go ahead, tell it. I've been telling since that
No,
such a long
you
time. My throat is
carry on.
aching, honestly.
Go. I don't know what. I don't remember what she said.
She ends up telling all the children. Sylvia was brought home by her guy friends in this state. She was thrown in the front yard, left alone over there. I saw her. I brought her up onto the bed. I tried taking care of her as much as I could, but she sadly did not make it. Jenny was specially instructed to tell that.
I
Now,
mean, for obvious reasons.
for obvious reasons. Also, we forgot the fact that Diana had come home once and was turned away.
Yeah.
Yeah, the nurse was also turned away, telling Sylvia had run away with her guy friends. Diana was also turned away, telling Sylvia had run away with her guy friends. And the cops were also told that when she was left by her guy friends at my place, I tried taking care of her. She
But
continued the same story for a long amount of time. Even during her court hearings, she told the same shit.
she told the same thing, but I think the cops were clever enough and experienced enough to notice that this was not just a one-day
Why? Let
thing.
me tell you. Why? Let me tell you. When the cops walked into the house, they went to Sylvia's room, the crime scene basically at that point of time, because there was not only one crime scene. There was a basement. There was the entire house, the bedroom in particular, the washroom where she was given scalding hot baths.
Yep.
Everywhere. Blood was just every fucking where. If not
And Gertrude thought she
clearly,
could get away with the
yeah,
story.
if not clearly right in front of your eyes, you put a bit of technology in it, you see the blood. So when the cops go into the room where Sylvia's body laid dead on the mattress, they saw blood splatter and splotches, basically spots, blood spots at several different ages of drying up.
Yep.
Few were 3 weeks old, few were a month old, few were that days, few were a few hours old. They saw all this. They saw literally defecation on the bed, urine on the bed. They saw the room being in a random mess. And then Paula walks in with a Bible in her hand, acting all saint and deity. And then just starts one of the lines from the Bible telling at least she's out of her misery, and then whatever happens, God does it. Whatever happens is necessary, and it happened for Sylvia, and blah blah blah. At this
Yeah.
point of time, what ends up happening is one of the detectives is caught alone by Jenny. And she slips in the information telling, if you take me out of this house, I will tell you what you need to hear.
I will tell you everything I know, everything that has happened. Just get me out of here.
And they end up taking her out. Voila.
Everything from day one, point
Yep.
by point.
And it is also alleged that Lester, and after Lester's wife, I forgot her name, after
Betty.
Betty, Lester and Betty, after Betty was freed off of the prison, they did send the daughters letters. Wasn't given to them. It was hidden and thrown away. One letter, I think Jenny came across one letter and showed it to Sylvia, but then they just decided not to do anything about it because they thought they might get into trouble for it again. So yeah, Jenny is taken away by the cops. The Lycan parents are notified.
The trial
Fucking
begins.
the trial
The
begins.
trial
Gertrude
begins.
was immediately arrested at the scene
Ah,
itself.
she was immediately arrested, yeah.
She was immediately arrested, and Paula was arrested along with uh,
Ricky Hobbs, Coy
Ricky.
Hubbard.
Ricky Hobbs and Coy Hubbard were not arrested at that point of time. They were,
Ah,
I mean, they were arrested, but they were not sentenced at that point of time. They
they were
are,
not sentenced, yeah.
yeah, the trial starts and then they get rightfully what they deserved.
Oh, throughout the trial,
Yeah.
Gertrude was being a piece of liar. She totally put everything on the
On her
kids.
kids. Exactly.
She denied any form of mistreatment towards Sylvia. She was like, the kids were mostly responsible, especially Paula and
Especially Paula,
Ricky.
because the fact her main point over there was I was sick, I was malnourished, I had no idea. I was always resting on
Yep.
the bed. Paula was the one who would bring her friends home and they would do crap down in the basement. I have no idea what has happened, sir. If it has happened
I
in
never
my
watched
notice,
anything.
I never watched anything. I might have got angry once or twice and hit her, but nothing more than that. I never hit her to a point where she would end up passing away. It was all my kids and Paula. Such a pathological liar.
And that's facts.
She she ended up snitching on her own kids. That tells a lot. Anyways,
That tells a lot.
the same lady who told you branded my daughters, now I'm going to brand you, is the one who ended up snitching on her kids.
Yep.
And in turn, the kids told everything,
Snitched back on her.
yeah, truthful
Yeah.
about Gertrude and also themselves in the process because they had to. They couldn't hide it
They
anymore.
had to. Yeah.
So, uh, Gertrude gets life sentence.
She gets a life sentence.
Paula gets a life sentence. Richard Hobbs gets a life sentence. Coy also gets a life sentence. Coy Hubbard
Yeah. hmm
gets a life sentence, but Richard Hobbs, I think he gets a parole, but ends up passing away due to lung
He
cancer.
passed away at the age of 22.
Yeah, 22 because of stress and lung cancer. He had become a chain smoker at that point of time when he was in holding, so he ends up dying in prison. And Coy Hubbard ends up in and out of prison throughout. He comes out of his life sentence on parole, and his life of crime begins from there. And he is a frequenter at the prison almost all the time. From there, we go over to Paula's life. Paula gets a life sentence, but then ends up serving only 5 years, and then she's out of the jail. 5 or 10 years. I think 5 or 10.
I mean, uh, I'm not sure.
I think 5 years.
Years.
I think 5 years. I think 5 years. She ends up moving out on parole, and then she changes her name and becomes a teacher. Not even a teacher. She becomes a school counselor with a different identity. But later on, it is determined that she has changed her identity, and her true identity comes out. Her history is revealed in the school, and she's kicked out, denying her a job.
I mean, you get what
You deserve it. You deserve
Yeah.
it. You had a job. You came out of the jail. I'm surprised about that. I would have let you rot in the jail for your entire life.
I think they had two trials. The first trial, both of them were pleaded, like they were found guilty. The second trial as well, both of them were found guilty, but Paula was put for a much lesser sentence
Because she herself pled guilty.
Yeah, she pled guilty.
Yeah. And Gertrude ends up getting a life sentence. She ends up spending 15 years of her life in the prison. Gets out on parole, changes her name to Nadine Van Fossen, moves to, what was that place?
Iowa.
Peninsuela, Iowa. And then ends up dying at the age of 65, I guess.
63, 65.
Yeah, 63, 65 from lung cancer again. Because she had also become a chain smoker.
She was a chain smoker.
But at the end of it, I feel justice wasn't done. Justice was still never done for Sylvia Marie Likens. They did end up erecting a memorial stone in Oak Hill Cemetery. I mean, resting places at Oak Hill Cemetery, and the memorial is in her birthplace, Lebanon, Indiana, USA.
Yep.
All these pictures, whatever I've told, related ones must be coming up on the screen, you guys. Her house is still standing to this day, and people still tell her
The
spirit.
basement
The basement is
is
haunted by her spirit.
haunted. Yep.
I mean, if you guys want an episode on that, we can probably do that. Let us know. I don't mind covering ghost shit. Although I don't believe it myself, I'm a skeptic myself, but yeah. I don't mind covering it. I like debunking stuff, so yeah, if you guys want to know about that, do let us know.
Yeah, do let us know.
Anyways, her life was full of trauma.
The story of the unhappy Cinderella.
Yeah. Also
Tragic
known
Cinderella
as
story.
Sylvia Marie Likens.
Yes.
A daughter lost, a mother lost, I mean, not a potential mother. To be, no, not even to be. To be is like the one who is going to be a mother
Yeah,
soon. Fine.
But
A person lost, all in all.
yeah, a
A
person,
life
a
lost.
daughter, a life. Yeah.
A sister, a daughter, a friend.
A friend.
Someone's love interest, maybe. Because Richard, aka Ricky, did crush on her.
Yeah.
That is exactly why he felt even more like a bum when he was in holding. And the stress took upon him. He became a chain smoker and ended up getting lung cancer and passed away. But there was this one beautiful portrayal in the movie. Remember, Sharon?
Yeah, I do.
In the movie, what happens is they showed Paula helping Sylvia getting out of the house. She realizing that whatever has happened, it's enough. She should probably just be thrown out, otherwise, her mom is going to kill her. So she ends up helping Sylvia getting out of the house. Sylvia ends up running from the house. This was a beautiful way of portraying it, you know.
Yep.
She ends up running from the house. Richard takes her and drops her at her parents' circuit. Her parents see what they have done to their daughter. All the inscriptions, all the beatings, all the marks, bruises, everything. They bring her home because Sylvia pleads her parents. Jenny is still there, and we need to do something about it. They go home to not apprehend, to kind of apprehend.
No, they go home to confront Gertrude.
Yeah, confront Gertrude and bring Jenny along with them.
Yeah.
And then the parents are supposed to get up and go. They are about to get up and go from the car, get out of the car and go to the main door. And Sylvia goes like, I should do it. This is my calling. Yeah, this is my calling. I should do it. She gets out of the car. She ends up heading to the house alone. She opens the door. She walks inside. And then she sees a frantic Stephanie trying to wake someone up, revive someone, telling she's not breathing, mother, she's not breathing, she's not moving. And then the camera pans out, and then we see a dead body of Sylvia lying on the floor. And so then we realize,
the whole thing was just a hallucination, was just a dream. Probably the last thing she ever remembered.
Yeah, it's like they say, right? Your life flashes in front of your eyes before you pass away. Something like that they had portrayed.
Says a lot about what she really wanted, towards the end. All she wanted was to be saved.
All she wanted to be was to be saved and be with her parents.
Yep.
Which she did for the one last time in her mind, maybe.
Yeah. So I think that's it for this case.
Yeah, because towards the end, in the real thing, towards the end, Sylvia did mention Jenny quite a lot of times that I'm not gonna make it. My life is coming to an end pretty soon. You need to do something about yours and either run away or try to reach out to someone. So yeah, don't try to come and save me. Just go take care of yourself.
Yep.
She would tell that to Jenny all the time until the point where she started stopped comprehending properly as a human.
Yep. And I think her last words to Stephanie, because Stephanie was, I think her last wish was to meet her dad.
I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, her last wish was to meet her dad.
I don't even know if she had a chance because at that point of time she couldn't speak or think properly. When her body was taken in for autopsy, they found subdural hematoma,
Yeah.
blood clots in her brains everywhere. In her brain everywhere. Multiple beatings, bruisings throughout her body.
Open sores throughout her body.
About 152 burn marks, which also overlapped, so they couldn't determine the older ones because many burn marks overlap one on top of each other. Many scabs ripped off. Her fingernails were bent backwards.
Yep.
And yeah, the obvious thing written on her stomach. Also, they did mention that while she was dying, she bit into her own lips.
Yeah, she bit into her own lips.
This is what I'm saying, guys. Domestic violence can turn into something horrific really quick. You won't even know what has happened until it happens.
So I think
Yep,
that's it for this case.
that's it for this case. I guess we covered every single point because
Yep.
it's a huge case. Covering it takes a lot of effort and time. So yeah. Me and Sharon have been preparing for this case for almost 2 weeks now, along with all the studio work, as you guys can see behind. It takes time. So yeah, I really hope you guys. There's nothing to enjoy about in this case, but I really hope you found this podcast informative and intriguing to a point wherein you would do something to save someone's life in trouble.
Yep.
Or your own.
Or your own.
So, yep. With that being said, guys, do the needful, and we need your support. YouTube is not helping us anymore. You are the only source of help we are left with. So, do the needful, and we will catch you guys in the next episode.
The next one.
So, until then, stay safe.
Stay safe.
Love you all.
Love you all.
Stay awesome,
Stay
guys.
awesome, guys.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you for watching.
And good night.
Good night.